All right. Well, welcome, Josh, to our first ever episode of Crestview Leads, which is a podcast put on by the city of Crestview with the city manager, where I have an opportunity to talk to basically whoever I want about whatever I want related to leadership. And, welcome.
Thanks, man. I'm excited to be here. I've been hearing about this concept for a while, so I'm excited to see you get it off the ground. Pretty cool thing.
Me too. I, just came up on my 5-year anniversary here at the city. And so 5 years is, pastors, maybe you guys can hang out for a little while, but 5 years for a city manager is usually the time where they're either sending you somewhere else or you're going somewhere else. And so I, as I was kind of looking back on it, I was thinking about all the different things I'd learned. And Chance and I started talking about what would it be like to go ahead and get some of the people that have had influence in my life as it relates to leadership and get them on and just talk about, what it is to be a leader and what the pieces of that process. So appreciate you being here today.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, anytime we can talk about leadership, I'm real big on like next generation handoffs.
Absolutely.
So I love that this is being documented because most of us, we have these conversations.
Right.
But now putting it on video, on audio, so that generations to come can glean from our mistakes mostly.
Right.
Is such a valuable thing. So, man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now you are the head pastor at Hope City Church, which is here in Crestview.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about the congregation and that kind of stuff, and then we'll...
Yeah, so we started Hope City. It'll be 2 years ago in April.
Right.
So we're about 1 month away from our 2-year anniversary.
Right. April Fool's Day, wasn't it?
April Fool's Day.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for that. But we have a very diverse church,
right?
Which was the goal. Traditionally, I've always been at churches that were either had people of a certain age or people of a certain background or people of a certain financial demographic.
Right.
And so when I felt the Lord leading to start a work, my first prayer was, Lord, I want a diverse church.
Right.
A lot of, I think where our strength comes from is that no matter what we're dealing with, no matter what we're teaching, no matter what we're doing an outreach, we can always find someone who has some sort of history, some sort of connection, some sort of experience with it. And so the diversity of Hope City, I think, is probably one of our greatest strengths. And so going into our second year in April, we're really starting to dig into some of the minutia of building a church, the individual ministries. And we're really starting to see kind of the power of that diversity now.
Right. And heavy focus on outreach.
Absolutely.
So let's, you haven't always been a pastor,
nope.
Right?
Nope.
We met, I guess it's been 3 years ago at the coffee shop, and I got an opportunity to get to know a little bit about you from a self-employment side. So you're a little bit of an entrepreneur.
Yep. So always been, I still had my first business when I was in the first grade.
Right.
Just always had a desire to find a problem and then create solutions.
Yeah, I love it.
And honestly, that's what any business really is.
Right.
We're all plugged into any business organization.
Right.
Fill in the blank to solve a problem. And entrepreneurs know that well. City managers know that well.
Yeah. So one of the problems I wanted to solve was government. That's
a big problem to solve. Yeah.
Yeah. I came from that private sector side, that entrepreneurial side as well. I was worked in construction, on a construction company, cleaning company, a couple of different things along the way. And just the minutia of government was something that I wanted to try to figure out how do we make a difference there. So. No, I totally get it. I love, I have to beat back that entrepreneurial feel.
Same.
Yeah, on a regular basis. And
yeah, I think first off, your entrepreneurial side is one of the greatest strengths. I think that's why our businesses are really thriving in our community. Because having, one of the worst things for a community is having lifetime politicians.
Right.
Stick around. I'm a huge term limit guy,
yeah.
Especially at the national level. Lifetime politics builds a skewed reality. But when you've had someone that comes from the marketplace
right.
into, especially local government,
Right.
What you have is you have a perfect mixture of what it takes to actually get things done. Sure. Government is the reallocation of the taxed dollars.
Right. Right.
Which does not equate to an understanding of how to create jobs. It does not equate to an understanding of how to create wealth.
Right.
A
lot of times it just takes it away. Government.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the things I really like about our mayor, JB, is Witten, Mayor Witten, is that he sets his own term limits. He did two terms on the council. He is going into his second term as the mayor, or hopefully we'll see. He's going to run for mayor again, but he has already said it's 2 and done. And I think it's that same thing that we're talking about here, where you don't want to you don't want to get too stagnant with it. Getting back to kind of the leadership side of things, what when you think about leaders, what is one of the things that you look for if you want to find a leader that you can look up to?
Other than the obvious, I like to see track record.
Okay.
I want to see. There's a lot of people in every industry that talk.
Right.
A lot of talkers. I'm not interested in talkers. A lot of times, because of social media, we chase talkers. They got a great one-liner. They've got a great whatever. Yeah. Show me the track record. We used to say, my brother and I in business, who was my partner most of my business life, we used to say, show me the pay stub.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show me the pay stub. Show me the difference you've made. Right. Show me how many jobs you've created.
Yeah.
And honestly, in creating mentors for ourselves, we have to make sure also that there is some continuity between what we're trying to do and what they've done.
Right.
There's nothing worse than trying to pull information. Let's say you're in the, restaurant business.
Right.
And you're trying to glean information from somebody's industrial construction background. That's a very hard thing. There are principles that you can glean.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of interesting because I actually, I agree with you, but I also, one of the things I teach all the time is, the CEO, I teach this to my team, the CEO of McDonald's doesn't have to know how long the hamburger cooks, right?
That's correct.
And so really a lot of it is about the main, the main principles. But, if they don't have a track record of success in the industry that you're trying to do, that would be kind of tough. What about the people that they've led? So like one of the things I like to do is, try to figure if I'm trying to hire a higher level employee, I want to know how the people that worked for, what do they think about them, right? Like the people that actually served with them or for them. How do you try to judge that in trying to seek out leaders or even mentors?
Well, I don't care what business you're in. You're in the people business.
That's right. It's all about relationships.
At the end of the day, it's all about relationships. I wish I'd have known that earlier on.
Right.
If you're in sales, you're in the people business. If you're selling cheeseburgers, you're in the people business. Right. If you're in church, you deal with people. That's the reality of every organization, every industry. And I would say looking at someone's history of raising up leaders. So just to give you some insight, you probably know this, and some of our viewers and listeners probably know this. 90% of what happens at a church on a weekly basis is done by volunteers.
Right. So that part is crazy to me.
Absolutely. And it's probably the only sector where that really happens.
Right.
But what's interesting is that you have the opportunity to hire people who are really good doers.
Right.
The problem is they're limited in how they can lead. So you have to hire people not necessarily based on their doing capabilities,
right,
but on their leading capabilities. Can they train? Can they duplicate?
Yeah.
Can they quantifiably step into an application and be duplicitous and recreating that ability in other people?
Yeah.
And so I would say whenever we're hiring, whenever we're finding the right people, to me, first thing is attitude.
100%. Yeah.
Attitude.
Yeah. Do they want to do what they're doing?
Yeah, we've all dealt with people who it's just like, they put sour milk in their Cheerios every morning.
Right.
You know, they're having a bad day.
Right.
It doesn't matter what happened in their world.
Sometimes I'm like, man, what? Like,
wake
golly,
up.
please.
Yeah, wake up.
I hate it for them.
Well, you can imagine what living in that skin would be like.
Yeah, I
It'd be
just
horrible.
read. If you read Crestview Word of Mouth, you'll that's where they
There's
all
a
hang
lot.
out.
That's definitely a meeting pool for those people,
this,
no
this
doubt.
morning, man, I not to change subject real quick, but this morning I was, on Facebook notifications. It said, there's been 12 posts on Word of Mouth you haven't read. It was one of the I was like, this is a champion badge for me, bro. I was super happy about that.
Were you happy that there were 12 or happy you hadn't read them?
Happy I hadn't read them.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I
good.
managed
That's good.
not to read them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are those people that are just negative all the time.
Negative
so we
Nancy.
skip them.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to, and I love this, I love where you went with that, because like the difference between doers and then leaders, and there is, there is a difference. The question is, can we take good, technically sound people and get them out of their technical skill and into more of a leadership perspective? This is what it's actually a class we teach in our Crestview Lead program. We have an 8-month program that we teach to our up and coming leaders. And we talk about technical skill versus people skills versus, vision. And so as you move up in any organization, you get the job because you're technically sound.
Right.
Right. And so, but eventually if you promote yourself to a place where your technical skills become less important, and then your ability to embrace the vision and get others to embrace the vision. How do you we sometimes struggle with it, because as soon as something goes wrong, people want to revert back to I'll do it myself, which I do
Sure.
on a regular basis. So how do you got any idea how we can not do that?
Well, again, not being perfect at any of this.
No,
we're all developing.
I know you better than that.
That's good. That's good. You're dealing with a flawed human.
That's right.
I would say this: it's a sad thing.
Yeah.
It's a very sad thing to realize that people are their own ceiling.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's a huge thing. I wish more people would understand that.
Yeah.
You never hire anybody without the desire for them to take your job.
100%.
You want to see them go all the way through the ranks, and then
Right.
you be able to hand the baton to them, and then you go rest.
Right. Give them the equipment, give them the tools.
And get out of the way.
And get out of the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's true leadership. My desire is to see each person be able to develop to a place to where they can manage anything that happens at the church, business, organization, fill in the blank. So what I would say is that is why I always watch attitude. Coachability and attitude are very close cousins.
Yeah.
And
Coachability. I like
coachability.
that. Yeah.
Are you able to be molded? Can I sharpen you? The scripture talks about iron sharpening iron.
Right.
And that literally means knocking off burrs of rust, things that are problematic. And that happens through who we spend our time around.
Right.
Well, when I bring people in, hire people, bring people onto the team, what I'm always looking for is first attitude, because that gives me a window into the person.
Right.
Once I see the person I'm dealing with, then as a leader, I can go learn how to tune that person.
Right.
That's where a good leader comes in.
Yeah, you have to be attentive. You have to listen.
Absolutely.
And you have to be just overall, I think attentive is probably a good word for
Yeah.
it. You got to pay attention to what motivates them, what is
Well,
important to them,
yes.
so that we can speak. We talk about it in communication, in our communication class, about understanding the frequency in which you got to communicate, right?
Yeah.
So like if this thing's on WAAZ, which we appreciate. Good job. Thanks, guys. But if the radio in your truck is not tuned to WAAZ, then you're not going to pick up what's being sent.
Right.
And so, but also as the sender, you got to send it in that same frequency.
Yeah.
And so getting people to understand that, but I love the way you said that. So that's why I want to camp there for just a minute. As leaders, we have to be paying attention. A lot of times people get into that positional mindset, you got to do what I say because I'm the boss. Well, there might be some truth to that for a limited amount of time. And then they're going to find somebody else to go do it. But if we can demonstrate to them that we care about them enough to figure out how to communicate to them,
Right.
We may be able to help them lift that ceiling that otherwise exists as far as how far they can go in any organization. That's good stuff.
Well, so I think we've just tapped into the difference between a healthy leader and a toxic leader.
Right.
A toxic leader says, do what I say, irrelevant
Right.
of how you feel about it.
Right.
A great leader says, let me tap into your passion.
Yeah.
So that way you desire to get up and excel in what I've asked of you.
Let me figure out how to fit you into this big plan so
Absolutely.
you can gain joy out of it as well.
Absolutely. And acknowledging that we're all, again, falling back on the scripture, we're all fearfully and wonderfully made. We're created uniquely. Everybody has a unique set of gifts. If I selected you for the job,
Yep.
then it becomes my job to excite you
I
and
agree.
ignite that passion in you. And if I do everything I can do and it's still not happening, then I look for outside resources. I go talk to other mentors, coaches, people like yourself who deal with large teams to get ideas, to get understanding, and say, hey, maybe I've never dealt with this personality before. Maybe I've never dealt with this gift set before. Maybe I've never dealt with this personality. And then if I've done everything I can do, it may be they're just not the fit for what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Simon Sinek does this thing where, and anybody who's ever been to one of my training classes that I do, poor guy doesn't know me, and he's definitely more successful than I am as it relates to money anyway. But he does this thing about how, we when we hire somebody, it's like adopting them. You can't unadopt a kid. You own it forever. And it always is. It's funny to me to hear him talk about it. One, he only has like 2 employees, so that makes it a little easier than the 300. but also, it's this idea. What I do like about what he says is it's this idea, this mindset about take your time on the front end to get the right people.
Absolutely.
That you think you can try to invest in that can get turned around and do that. We had, when I came on here, they had never had a city manager. So you had 7 different kingdoms that were all fighting for limited resources. And so it was very much us against the world in all of these separate silos. And,
which creates its own toxicity.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Yeah. And then and they become echo chambers because they're not talking to anybody else. So they're talking to each other, and it's just blah, 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 blah. But at the beginning, there were people who some of the leadership thought I should move out right away. And my thing was, you got somebody who'd been here a long time. The organization kind of created them, and we needed to give them a chance to try to get to see if we could fix or we can't fix it, but if we could get them the right resources to maybe fix some of that stuff. And so, but then sometimes they can't. But a lot of times we did. We were able to get them turned around, and so I love that being attentive. What when you think about leadership and you look kind of back over your career, what is somebody or who is somebody that invested in you, or you got everybody, whenever you ask this question, a lot of times people give these, what leader do you look up to? And it may be some person they've never spoken to, but I want to talk about, like, in Josh Neel's life, who invested in Josh? Because I know you as a great leader. That's why you're here today.
Thanks, man.
I know you as first of all, an all-around good guy, but also, solid leader. So who invested in Josh that you look back and go, man, I'm grateful I knew that person?
Well, I had a myriad of mentors in the marketplace.
Right.
Everything. I had an accountant named Karen Riley who passed away a few years ago, who always was positive. And when you're dealing with spreadsheets, it's not always a positive moment for an entrepreneur.
I'm not sure how those bean counters even do that.
No, me either. But every time I would sit down with her, there was an encouragement. And so I learned to stay on the positive side of things when it came to even looking at harsh realities.
Yeah. You do that for me sometimes too. I appreciate that.
Well, at the end of the day, I can't always fix what's happening, but I can change how I feel about it.
Nice.
And so I tend to stay on the brighter side of things, if nothing else, so that other people, I don't affect them in a negative way. The other people, I would say, my mom has always been a incredible businesswoman.
Right.
She has always led with great tenacity, and she has a stick to it. And she's had her tax office for over 30 years now.
Wow.
Does over 700 clients a year, and just is a great picture of just
700 clients a year.
700 clients a year, and she's a one-person show.
Yeah.
Works by herself. On the ministry side of things, I would say probably a good friend of mine, Wayne Asperditis.
Okay.
I had given
up. Is he in
Panama City Beach.
Panama City
Okay.
Beach. Yeah.
Yeah. He. I had given up on ministry at an early age.
Right.
and decided telling God what you're never going to do again is a great way to get a laugh out of him, by the way.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm never going back in the
Too
ministry.
funny.
So I went into the marketplace because I had seen ministry done in a way that the person teaching on Sunday was different than the person I do during the week. And I thought there's this disconnect. And I thought, why are they one way 6 days a week, and on Sunday they're this other person? I could never. Well, in meeting Wayne, I saw this great father.
Right.
I saw a great husband.
Right.
I saw a passionate Bible studier. A lot of people are passionate teachers, but they don't have passion toward the Word of God.
Right.
Wayne was all of those things, and then he was still a normal guy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times when you're doing everything else right, it warps you to be like this weird offset person who now you're not effective to reach normal people.
Right.
Well, Pastor Wayne is that. And so
cool.
Getting to see him walk that out, I said, you know what, wait a second. Maybe you can be a normal person and still preach. Maybe you don't have to be one way 6 days a week and change on Sundays. And so I owe a lot of my ministry to him because he's the one who called out that gift in me to go teach again. So he's definitely one. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is someone that you've had an opportunity to invest in that has gone off and been successful? Just in other words, invest in meaning you put you mentored them a little bit or something along that lines. You got anybody that you can think of that you're super proud of? Put you on the spot.
Man, honestly, I don't. I hate to you never know what percentage of an impact you are on somebody's life.
Sure. Yeah.
But I was in youth ministry when I was 18 through 21. And I've had several of those kids now who they message me from the mission field and they tell you stories. Hey, man, I've been in guy in Tanzania said, man, I've been in Tanzania now for 20 years.
Right.
And the reason I'm here is a quote you gave me back then, and
that's pretty cool.
So I would say individuals. I would hate to point out names, but again, taking absolutely zero credit in that, because freely I've received all this information.
Right.
I was born with nothing. I'll die with nothing.
Right.
And one of my philosophies is finish empty.
Yeah,
Give it all away.
We've had that conversation. So So when you talk about finish empty, what do you mean?
In all aspects.
Yeah.
You will never see Hope City Community Church amassing great wealth in bank accounts.
Right.
We amass our wealth in investing in the community. And again, different philosophies, different leadership.
No, I got you.
You will never see us building extravagant buildings.
Right.
And the reason why is because if a person who's down on their luck, who looks different, who may smell different, who may appear different than us can't come, and we be more worried about them than the building, we have failed.
Right.
And so the finishing empty to me means that at any cost, whatever I have, if I see an opportunity to make a massive impact, then I give it. And then on a personal level, it's being willing to stop and give time to anybody, irrelevant on the fact that they could ever pay me back.
Right. One of the things that's super cool about, again, the mayor, is that this is his third actual career. He served in the military, retired, Chief Master Sergeant, and then he went in teaching and taught ESE kids. Disabled kids in middle school, I think is where it was, middle school or high school, did that and retired from there. And then he's back doing this thing. It's like, sometimes I look and I'm like, man, that joker works just about as hard or harder than anybody I know. Why is he working so hard? But I think it's that mindset that you're talking about of I'm not going to just, I'm going to spend everything I got from a perspective of I'm going to give every opportunity I have to give back to the community or to give to the people that I might be able to influence some change over. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the things that I greatly respect him for, is that no quit, no, I'm not going to go sit home and count seashells or do anything like
Yeah.
that. Or sit on a beach and, great retirement, more power to people who just do that. But it's that mindset of there is work to be done and I'm going to keep doing the work as long as I can. So that's,
and let me challenge something. You said, more power to people who are sitting on the beach counting seashells. Yeah, they have more power to offer. They have a lifetime of experience.
Right.
Get off the beach.
I agree.
Go make an impact.
I do
Go
agree
make
with
a
that.
difference.
I do agree with that.
And in our culture, one of the things we fight at the church is, and you and I have talked about this, is we have traded experience for relevance.
Yeah. You're talking about nationally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
agree. I agree. We want to fit in,
Yeah.
in general. And it's the same thing when you talk about leadership or influencers
Sure.
on
Sure.
Facebook and all this kind of stuff. They're trading that one quippy quote for getting down in the mud
Yes.
with the individual that doesn't actually have the tools that are necessary, wasn't quite properly equipped earlier on in life,
Right.
and trying to figure out how do we work through that mud with them. That's
Absolutely.
so good.
Yeah. So we have I think we have a mandate.
Yeah.
The first time you take a breath, that breath's not yours. Give it away.
I agree. I teach this thing about, we should be at two places in our life, our entire life. And that's someone pouring into us and us pouring into somebody else.
That's great.
And if you kind of envision it as like this cup that gets full, if you're just watching podcasts and doing all those things and you're just soaking up all this information, then you're not pouring out. At some point, you just get full and overflow.
Yeah, logical
Right.
gluttons.
Yeah. Right. What'd you call it?
Logical glutton.
Logical gluttons. I like it. You have to be. One of the things I liked when I worked with Project Hope, which is a men's recovery ministry.
Great group.
Yeah, is that those guys had nothing they could give back. So it was like this perfect opportunity to go invest in people that there was no way I was not going to get gain from them.
Right.
Other than what I value as this great loving relationship and a bunch of men that I've been able to see get into,
Yes.
this level of success. So we got like just a couple minutes left. So
Yeah.
I want to hit a couple of them really, really quick. So you
got it.
talked about, who's invested in you, who you've invested in. One of the things you said was finish empty, which I love that. But if you right now on the big picture, popular, famous people, is there any leader that you think you look at and you go, hey, that guy or gal's doing a good job?
Well, again, not to toot our horn here in Crestview, but I think between you and Mayor Witten, I think we've got some great
I'm not
leaders.
paying you for this,
No, I get it. No paychecks involved.
Yeah.
But I do have the benefit of knowing you guys a little bit on the personal level.
side, yeah.
And I see the mental balance that you have to carry. A lot of times we can be in a heavy season and think it's just us, but it's everybody.
No doubt.
So snap out of it,
Right.
Get up and lead.
Yeah. Seems like I've heard that from you before.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Josh, I really appreciate you coming and being
Sure,
on
man.
the show, man. It's the first ever
I'm
episode
honored.
of
I'm honored.
Crestview Leads.
Very
so
cool.
hopefully we'll make it to episode 2. We'll see.
Yeah.
But if you don't know about us, check us out on Facebook. So the City of Crestview has a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. You can find us on our website. We definitely want you to check us out there. Hope City Community Church has its Facebook page.
Yeah, HopeCityCC.com. We got an app. Download the app, and hey, we'd love to see it at one of our local services.
Absolutely. And as always, we want to thank WJSB, WAAZ for supporting our community with these public outreach
Yeah, great
meetings. And so
stations.
we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, brother.